They're grafters, the Japanese. They're grafters. Didn't trust them too much during World War II, but they work hard. They've made up for it, I think.
All of them do.
Yeah, all of them. All of them are hard workers. Very honourable. That's what I love about the Japanese. They're very honourable. They love all that honourable, all that bowing heads. Tell you what, first time a Japanese envoy tried to do that to me, I was like, you sucking my cock, you bender! I knocked him sparkers out. We laugh about it now.
We report on the I said pod, I meant Destructoid, but we report yesterday. We talked about how we put up our Game of the Year nominations, which wasn't just ours, that was Destructoid.com's, and everyone got mad because we didn't have Skyward Sword and we didn't have Dark Souls.
Really?
Yeah, they wind up. And it's funny because the Dark Souls fans are so hell-bent on being like, yeah, I'm tough. I'm a tough guy. I play hard games. I like the tough, hard games. You didn't pick it for your Game of the Year? What's wrong with you?
I think that's what it is. I think Dark Souls has, fucked the fight out of them, so that now they're just this kind of weak, battered shell that once resembled a person.
Stockholm Syndrome, you know?
Yeah.
There's a real entitlement and rage that other people don't like Dark Souls as much as they and the snobbery of they both at one point seem to be proud of themselves that they like Dark Souls, no one else does, but resentful that Dark Souls doesn't get round the clock praise from everyone.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I like Skyward Sword a lot, but I didn't expect everyone to like it, and I'm not mad at all that it's not going to be Destructoid's Game of the Year. I was actually sadder that Sword and Sorcery didn't make it. I like that game even more, I think. It's a good game.
Just because it was on an iPad.
Well, that's the curse.
Yeah.
It's not going to get a look at.
Same thing with Skyward Sword. I think it's because it's on a Wii, and I think people are kind of... They like the whole... I don't know. I just think it's sad that, it's not in HD on the console, but if you're running an emulator, you can see it in HD.
Yeah, that's not a good sign.
That's just really embarrassing. It's kind of like, other people.
I know a lot of people that own a Wii, people that own a Wii and bought the game retail, but emulate it anyway just because it looks better. I also think if they had the option for classic controller, a lot more people would have enjoyed it.
I think it would have been better if the game wasn't fucking shit. That would have helped to know. I'm only joking, ladies and gentlemen. It's all right, isn't it? We all have a good laugh on Podtoid. We all have a good joke. Fucking wankers. Game of the Year. They gave Modern Warfare 2 the best shooter at the VGAs. Infinity Ward got a blue glass monkey and they don't deserve it. Battlefield deserved it. Fucking wankers. Grow up, says the man who was just coming into a fucking PlayStation Eye camera because his microphone broke.
It just, oh god, and then that was like the nominations thing was one thing that pissed everyone off, and then we put up another one yesterday. The news story was the thing about 4chan fucking with Gabe Newell and him allegedly writing them back. No,
I didn't see that part of the show.
He said that the thing they don't seem to understand is that the way we get successful is by getting people to watch our show. Right. So we put a picture of Gordon Freeman in the thumbnail and said Half-Life 3 ?
Oh yeah, that was good.
And then we talked about how 4chan had sent them a group letter, sent Valve a group letter, and then allegedly Gabe Newell had written back saying that, would it calm you down if I told you that all your favorite things are going to be announced at E3 2012? And that was 4chan just dicking around and doing their thing. And we reported on it. We didn't say anything was confirmed. We just kind of were like, is this for real? Like, is this what happened? Like, and apparently it was fake. We'll probably talk about that tomorrow. But of course, there's this sudden shitstorm where people are like, Destructoid, game journalists. And I'm like,
that stuff, yeah.
And I think it's 4chan that's mad at us. Like, I think it's the /V over there.
Why would they be
and
mad? I thought you reported on what they did. Did I misunderstand you?
That's pretty much what happened. And I'm just
Okay.
like, we talked about the trailers they showed at the VGAs. And they're mad that, that we didn't talk about Half-Life 3, and like they're mad that I don't have news. I'm just talking about the closest thing we have to news because that's my job. It's just days like this that I want to split my being into thousands of particles of light, and I want to just spread around the globe and find all those fuckers and just fly into their brains and give them tiny magical aneurysms.
Wow. That's intense.
Yeah. I always find it funny when I see accusations of people being trolls on 4chan. Because that, as far as I remember, that is their proud MO. That's what they are. And yet, like the Dark Souls thing, it's like so quick to break down and accuse others of that kind of thing. It's weird. I don't get it.
It's funny because they were like calling us out for not being good game journalists and being like Destructoid, high quality journalism.
Oh, fuck.
It's like, I like went to a preview event for the Vita last night and I played a bunch of games and I, was talked to the PR people and was like, how does this work? Is this interesting? And there was a guy there who was an analyst and he was just like shamelessly trying to get us to interview him. Like, and he just like schmoozing. Like, I've never met someone who was quite so smarmy and schmoozy.
Why did he want you to interview him? About what?
Because he's an analyst, I think. Like, he wanted just to be on camera, but he was like, who's the monkey in front of the camera? Who should I talk to? And I'm like, that'd be me, He's like, oh yeah, you guys should interview me. And we're like, wow, that's you want $5 too? Like, I don't, I'm working here, man. I'm busy. Sorry. Like, go analyze something.
Well, you should have interviewed him. Journalism. Video games.
I just think it's funny that like there's that sounds like a more serious job title than what my job is. But I'm like, no, dude, I'm busy. Like, I'm sorry. I gotta games and pay attention to them. Don't have time to talk to some idiot who makes up numbers. Like, sorry.
Dude, I'm sat here using a makeshift PlayStation Eye for a microphone that's stacked on top of various DS games, wearing a t-shirt that says Property of Jesus.
Where'd you get that?
Playing with a screwdriver that's on my desk like a child. And people expect journalism.
What do they want journalism for? I don't get it. I don't get what they want.
What do you think journalism is?
Dry, opinionless, like a thing happened down there.
It's just, dude, Fox News are considered journalists. I'd rather not be in that.
But it's like journalism. I mean, Access Hollywood is journalism. Like the VH1 retrospectives behind the music. That's journalism to an extent. That's documentary filmmaking. That's what are they looking for? Like
it's a
we're
hobby.
Doing this thing and
it's a fucking hobby. Do they do this to people who do they do this to the people at Tomopop when they review toys or when they go to the toy store and buy? And I'm not,
it's really funny because I used to be really into toy collecting and I'd go on like toy collecting forums and everyone who's into toy collecting is really well behaved. To the point where it's actually kind of boring. There's no arguments. People are generally kind of like, oh, be careful. This post has some spoilers in it. And everyone's like just going around. It's like Canada. Everyone's just going around minding their business and having a good time. And then you go on like a gaming forum and people are like, fuck you piece of shit.
Yeah.
That game was terrible.
And it's like, and then they want quality journalism. And it's like, did you get what you fucking deserve? It's like, I argued about people shouldn't care too much about the VGAs because they're pointless and irrelevant and really should just be forgotten. And they're not for us; they're for Spike TV viewers. And some guy like immediately launched into he made several posts, of course, because they can't just contain to one. Just made several, the usual fat bias journalism, blah, blah, blah. And I look at it and I'm like, and you're arguing that we should care about the VGAs and make them more responsible and reflective of video games as a serious artistic medium. We got what we fucking deserve. If you consider yourself a gamer and you're spouting that shit on the internet, just this mental diarrhea, then who are you to demand quality journalism? Who are the people who fucking spend their time complaining that someone won a blue glass monkey on a Saturday night? Yeah. Who are they to demand better? Who are they to demand quality journalism when the best they've contributed to video games is calling someone a gay retard on a fucking message board?
Honestly, we're at a point where journalism in general is kind of fucked up, because you look at Fox News or mainstream media in general, and there's stuff they're not covering. There's that collection of, I don't know if you guys have seen this, but it's a lineup of Time magazine covers compared between what they show on U.S. newsstands and in the rest of the world.
Yeah,
and it's sickening, because it'll be like the cover story in everywhere else in the world will be like the Taliban, and then in U.S. is like, is anxiety getting to us?
I noticed that pretty soon after I moved to the country, and I actually get my news from a BBC News app on my phone, because then I actually get news and not what is the president's wife wearing? I don't get that for fucking an hour.
I would love to watch that on the news. What you just said.
She does have great arms. It's true.
American news is so narcissistic. Like, it's just so America. I guess that's what Americans want to know about America, I guess. But I'd rather know what's going on in the world, America included. Yep. But you never know. If you watch just like a normal mainstream American news network, you won't know what's going on. I mean, every time I've flicked over to Fox News, like just while flicking through channels, every time since I've moved here, they've only ever talked about Obama. That's all I ever see. Just Obama's done this. And that's all I ever see. It's like, dude, just call yourself the Obama channel if that's all you're going to fucking talk about. I don't want to know about Obama anymore. I'm sick of the sight of him. Not because he's black. I'm not racist. Don't put that tail on this donkey. I'm sick of him. I am sick of him.
Did you just make a pin to tail on the monkey anti-racism claim?
I said donkey. Stop trying to whitewash me.
So
don't be the villain of this Mona Lisa. Anyway, I've got to finish this because I'm not ending it on that note. I'm just saying, I've got no problem with Obama, but I'm sick of hearing about him because that's all the news want to talk about. It's like, dude, shit happened out there. Talk about what happened with Berlusconi. Talk about what's going on in China. There's important shit going on. We only ever hear about it when some Austrian paedophile locks his daughter up in a basement. Talking of which, we got Is It Paedophilia or Not coming up, folks. Look forward to that.
Do?
We do, absolute more, my friend. But yeah, I think Max wanted to move on to something else before that.
I was just going to say that, like, as far as game journalism goes, the stuff that we do that could be considered journalism is pretty much just regurgitating PR as far as reporting goes. And then there's the criticism side of things.
Aren't you interviewing Kojima soon? That's going to be journalism.
What?
Kojima? Are you interviewing Kojima?
No, that was a different Max. I hope.
There's another Max?
That's Maxwell. That's Maxwell Rorick. He was bothering the other day.
I like him a lot.
He's actually great. He's cool people.
Oh, yeah, I mean, there's I don't think he's even interviewing him. I think it's like a press conference thing, roundtable, and it's the thing is this is not stuff that people need to know. This is stuff that companies are like, okay, we're releasing this news. You know, short of breaking into a studio, again, what are you going to do? There's how much journalism can you do? They literally had PlayStation Vitas locked to tables last night because that's how much they were going to show us.
Well, that's what I was talking about with the Tomopop thing, because I didn't want to make it sound like I was dismissing Tomopop, because I love Tomopop. But video games, okay, they are artistic, and you know, we should all quote unquote take them seriously. Yes, video games, but at the same time, they are still a hobby. It's still, you know, I still in many ways still consider them a toy, an artistic toy, one that can play with the heartstrings and what have you. But they originated from toy companies and stuff, so. There isn't much journalism you can do. It's a hobby. It's like expecting me to do journalism while covering fucking Warhammer or Dungeons and like a Dungeons and Dragons journalist.
Have a bigger perspective, because people got mad at us for reporting on this piece of 4chan fluff that was like a fraudulent news. And it's inaccurate now that we know it, after we wrote it, and it's on the internet, and people were like, this is old. And I'm like, yes, that's why it's not live. That's why we recorded it yesterday, before it was inaccurate. See? That's the thing. You got to report on things before the news is inaccurate, which is what we did.
Actually, I regularly...
The thing happened.
Let's be fair, I regularly videotape CNN and then watch it the next day and scream about how aged the news is. Take that news to the old folks' home, Grandad!
But to be fair, people do.
Ronald Reagan's not the president now, man from the past. Stop reporting on it.
People do get really mad at Tomopop reporters, though. I've talked to them, and they've had huge.
But they don't expect journalism. They don't.
They're really angry if they talked about, like, you said it was a Kobayashi original, but it's actually a reissue. You son of a bitch!
Yeah, I mean,
how dare you?
I'm certainly not saying. I'm certainly not saying that it doesn't have its obsessive nerds. Like, any nerdy hobby's gonna have that. But you don't get these smarmy, bearded gentlemen of old Compton Row stroking their chins and polishing their monocles and flicking a dime at a chimney sweep, going, I don't know where that metaphor's going, but they're saying, you know, oh, you haven't got any journalistic integrity. No, I haven't. Later on, I'm going to do an MS Paint drawing of Ganondorf with his dick out. I don't have any journalistic integrity. I've barely got even decent human integrity. Don't expect it. We're going to talk about paedophiles in a minute in the name of comedy. That's... Calling any of us bad journalists is like calling us bad bear tamers or window makers. It's like, yes, we are bad at that, but that's not what we do. We write on a ridiculous blog on the internet.
Holmes, I remember a while ago you were talking about doing a Constructoid about tips for getting into game journalism.
Oh yeah, I don't remember. I think it's possible.
Maybe, sure. I don't know. It was a while ago, but it got me thinking about, like, what makes me good at this? I don't know if I'm good at this. I mean, why am I doing this? How did I get to be doing this? And the way I got that first internship, with the current TV IGN thing was because my friend was like, we need someone who's not, like, completely head up their ass into gaming. We need someone who's, like, into gaming but into other things as well. Keep one foot on the ground. And when there was that big that shitstorm on Reddit about your you giving
Kart?
Modern Warfare 3,
was there one?
There was a big old.
When was this?
Oh God,
you rascal!
The cheeky one.
I went on there and it was funny because I talked to people and I was just like kind of honest, and I was like, guys, those are different games. Like, yeah, he reviewed them differently because they're different games, and I don't, anyway, that was bullshit. But I was like, guys, like, you guys are saying a lot of really mean shit about him, and that's because he said a thing about a video game. Like, let's keep this in perspective here. And I'm here saying that you're being jerks because he's my friend, and they're like, scumbag Max Scoville works for a video game site, says it's just video games, and I'm like, guess what, motherfucker? They're toys, and I'm doing this because I'm able to recognize that. because I'm not
Right.
like I don't have a
Don't
shrine
shatter,
for fucking Master Chief
like,
in my house. You know?
I appreciate you sticking up for me, and that was lovely, thank you. But I'm gonna have to side with them. You shattered their fragile glass palace, which is all just that's. You're a mean man, Max. You are the Grinch of video games.
It's true. They
Grinch
want a
man.
villain. They want a villain, and I swooped in and said he's not a villain. I should have
Well,
let them burn your Frankenstein castle to the ground.
Exactly. While I'm sitting
Um,
there going, I'm a person.
what's
I am
what's
often
really
shocked when people say to me, "I want your job. I hate you." I'm like, not gonna get my job by starting off by how much you hate me.
Oh,
And
see? That's what I say when I hate somebody. Is they're like, if they're being mean, I say, "My job's cooler than yours, ball sack," and then they. At the end of the
what can
day,
you
like
say to that, really?
I kind of win.
That
Like what?
depends who you
Sure.
argue with, because some of them are convinced that this is the most. Like, they will still talk about people who cover games for a living, like, all the time. And yet, whenever it's brought to their attention that, dude, they're paid to do something they love, they're doing pretty well for themselves, they'll instantly go, they're paid, what, $25 a day, they're shit, I've got a better job than them. And it's like, dude, if you actually do think you're superior to people who review games or do game videos or whatever, why are you fucking talking about them all the fucking time? Just let them do their job. If you actually... Because, I mean, you see this a lot on NeoGAF. They love just looking down their nose and just sneering at people who review games and who cover games in any sort of way. And it's like, dude, if you think you're the superior species, why are you constantly talking about them?
Yeah.
Why do you act so starstruck when they mention your fucking name as well?
I don't try and like start arguments with people. I sort of try and resolve them as much as I can. As much as sometimes I just do love to go on like Reddit or something and just be like, okay, what I said to one guy, I said, I wish you had a girlfriend. So it was like, I wish you had a girlfriend so that I could. Yeah, it was like, I wish you had a girlfriend so that I could bang her and she could tell you I was better or something. It was something just really just cruel, and it was like after a long series of trying to be nice and being like, "Hey man, I'm just here to like talk to people," like, and this guy just wasn't giving an inch. Like he was just kind of, he just had his head up his ass, and I was like, suck a dick. We're done here. Fuck you. Like just not even And
they push you to it. And the funny thing is they then turn it round and say, well, that wasn't professional, or that was... like, I remember, because I made a few offhand tweets when that whole Mario Kart thing was going down, just making fun of it, making light of the whole situation.
Yeah.
And one guy, because they were monitoring some of those people on Reddit, they were monitoring my Twitter feed like a hawk. Like, they must have just been refreshing the feed. Anytime I mentioned anything, I'd get like 5 people responding to it, even though it was a reply to someone else, which meant they had the page open and were just refreshing.
They want to.
Yeah, and one guy said to me, with all due respect, Jim, I think the way you're handling this makes you come off as a bit of a jerk. And my jaw dropped. I'm like, who's got the thread on Reddit with the scumbag thing going on? Again, a word that's reserved usually for muggers and rapists, because he gave the score, whatever. And I gave up reading the thread like after the first, 20 posts or something, because I could see where it was going. And
we're treated a bit like we have 6 arms. I'm sorry, this isn't making any sense. We're treated basically like we're beating up little kids. Like I think that.
How did you get from 6 arms to beating up little kids?
Is this like a Hindu thing?
Are
you saying we're like Shiva?
We're sort of godlike. We're like 6-armed gods pummeling 3-year-olds. Like, they see themselves like, listen, I'm a 3-year-old. All right, that's understood. I'm an anonymous internet douchebag. I'm just going to be a total jerk. And then if you come back and actually attack them back, it's like, that was mean. I'm just a kid. Why are you beating me up? We're supposed to just let little kids punch us in the balls, basically.
I don't get it. It's like, you can't retaliate in any way. You can't even stick up for yourself. You can't even defend your position, because then it's like, why are you getting so defensive, dude? It's like, well,
I don't know.
constantly harassing me on Twitter until I talked to you and tried to, like, present my side of something, and then say, well, Dad, it's not very professional to defend yourself. Dad, you're coming across like a bit of a dick.
Yeah,
That's a great voice.
I don't know. Maybe it's because I mean, Jim, you've got a lot of followers on Twitter. I mean, I only have like 7,700, and you've got like what 15 pushing. You get a lot on there.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just maybe after you break that
7,000's a lot.
maybe after you break that 10K mark, you turn into a dick. I don't know. I haven't done it, so
You're godlike at that
I
point.
think they
So
assume-
God poop on children, even if the children pooped on God first. God isn't supposed to poop back. He's
I
just
think they
supposed to take-
assume that you're a dick. If you've got any kind of personality on the internet and you've got even just a marginally significant following, they assume you. I've been told so many times, or seen around the internet so many times, about my massive ego and what a dickhead I am, when anyone who actually talks to me, again, maybe this is egotistical of me to say, but I would think that anyone who's ever met me and spoken to me knows that I think I'm rubbish, really.
you're a pretty nice guy.
I mean,
and
obviously
don't know.
I'm proud of myself and proud of what I've done. In fact, I've been able to make a living doing something I enjoy, but I'm not. I don't think I'm that great, and I.
No, it's been
but
quick to
This
tear
is
down
this
the
is
stuff
just
people
for
are
the
really
record.
quick to-
This is a very narcissistic podcast so far.
Oh yeah.
Or just
Yeah.
we like each other and ourselves.
Yeah.
And
But I mean,
yeah,
the
let's-
show. When is
It's like a
this?
support group right now.
When is this
is
show
like we
not
just-
self-indulgent? That's the thing. Speaking of which, we should lighten the mood, change the tone.
I feel like we're driving home from a party that we just got kicked out of because we're not cool enough, and we're just like, well, fuck them. I mean, they only had like, some beer. We and those girls there weren't that hot, so let's go home because
I
we
think
can't
you're a
be
great
there
guy,
at the party.
Jim. They should have let you be at the party. I feel like I'm saying, and you're like, I like you too. It's fun. We like each other.
But I don't.
Okay.
We shouldn't dwell on it because it does. I mean, I only get annoyed when I think about it, but I don't really. I mean, I spent all day thinking about Dungeon Keeper today.
What's
That's how
Dungeon
I
Keeper?
spent my day. What?
What's
Sorry,
Dungeon Keeper?
hold on. What?
Which one's that?
Ask that
Dungeon
question again.
Is that the one with the? Is there different orcs in that one?
Ask me the question again.
What's Dungeon Keeper?
Right. Ask it again.
Is it a video game?
No, just keep asking me the question until I fucking believe that you asked it, you cunt.
What's it? A personal computer game? Is it on the PlayStation?
Yes.
Yeah?
It's one of those there newfangled personal computer games that my grandson plays.
I'm a little out of it. I'm sure I've heard of it, but they kind of sound alike.
It's a hip new game from the 90s.
Really? Is it on the? Was it made by the Bethesdas?
No, it's a bullfrog game.
Oh,
You are an evil overlord, and you create your own little dungeon underground. And it's one of the most sort of up there with the famous sort of sim games like Theme Park and Theme Hospital, Roller Coaster type.
Oh
Except it's like Theme Sauron, basically. Like, you are this evil, demonic entity, and you build a dungeon, build a treasure room, and a lair, and then attract monsters into the dungeon and use them to fight the good guys who come along and try and stop you.
yeah. It sounds like a holy invasion of privacy, bad man.
Well,
Remember that one?
yeah, I mean, that kind of did adapt from it. I mean, Dungeon Keeper is, it's an old game. It's
Totally missed out on that somehow.
Oh, well, it is not too late, my friend.
Oh, yeah?
Because the game is currently $3 on goodoldgames.com, GOG.com. What?
Oh, cool.
What?
Jim.
What?
Under a Steel Sky.
Beneath the
is that good?
Steel Sky.
Beneath the Steel
Beneath the
Sky.
Steel Sky.
You know
It means
what?
It's the same word. It
You
means
know
the same
what?
thing.
Yeah, well, it's not right, because then the users, if they're anything like Jonathan Holmes and they've never heard of any game in the world, they'll be Googling Under a Steel Sky, they won't know. It doesn't matter whether it's good or not, Max, because that game is free.
Oh.
Should I play it though?
Yeah?
I really want to play
Do
it.
you like point-and-click adventure games?
I love them.
You'll fucking love it.
Yeah, because I seriously, that completely slipped under my radar apparently. And I Googled it and I saw a screenshot and I was like, oh my God, it's like Indiana Blade Runner and the fate of Android Atlantis.
Whoa, that
Yeah,
sounds pretty
Looks
good.
cool.
It's a classic. I mean, I only played it for the first time recently, or I can tell why it was a classic. Very funny game, but also a very, towards the end, just like nightmare fuel storyline. And that's free on GOG.com. I've had an account with Good Old Games for a few years now, but I've only recently started really spending bucks there. Sorry, Bert, when I talk, that's disgusting and fat.
It's just sounds coming out. Not bad.
But they've got their Christmas sale right now. It's fucking criminal. You make out like a bandit. I bought Dungeon Keeper for $3. I bought Blood for $3. The game's hilarious.
Fuck yeah, I love that game.
Yeah, it's actually my friend Leo. He's not into games. He doesn't really play them, except for like a handful of old Genesis games. But Blood, he actually introduced me to Blood, basically because he and I both have a fascination with what I like to call the needlessly arcane. Where something's just so satanic and evil that it gets beyond practicality, and that game is full of it. Just
Now,
pointlessly evil things.
I get Shadow Warrior and Blood mixed up. Blood's the one with the lighter and the aerosol can and the pitchfork and the voodoo doll, right?
It's got the pitchfork and the voodoo and the civilians that you shoot and they grab their throat and go, "There's no place like home," and die.
Whoa,
Fucking
what?
brilliant, that game.
Have you played Shadow Warrior?
Possibly, maybe.
Shadow Warrior is basically like the same thing, except it's a John Carpenter movie. You play as a ninja in a time of magic asshole ninjas or something, and the point is
Magic asshole ninjas.
I don't like. It's one of those games where you're like, I don't know what the fucking plot is, but it's basically like if Big Trouble in Little China was really racist and violent, like more violent, like RoboCop violent,
and more racist.
Whoa,
yeah, it
sounds awesome.
God, what is it? I want to say there's like a golden shower reference in it or something. Like you're creeping around this like dojo and you find like a geisha who's just like kneeling next to a toilet or something. I don't know. It's the guys who did Duke Nukem 3D, and it came out like those games both came out like right afterwards when they were just seeing how far they could push the envelope. And I remember being in 5th grade and going, it's a game where you can take a lighter and an aerosol can and spray people with fire, and that's
just
what it
like
was.
Serial Mom.
That does happen in Serial Mom.
It does happen in Serial Mom.
It's an underrated John Waters movie, in my opinion.
That's a John Waters movie.
Yeah, it's got
So
its
you're
charms.
learning something on Podtoid this week. John Waters made Serial Mom. Amuse your friends and impress your enemies with that little tidbit of info.
What have you guys been playing? You get Dungeon Keeper. That's a terrible name.
It's all it's functional. That's what you do.
Keep the dungeon.
Keep the dungeon. Yeah.
All right.
That's all right.
Sign me up.
Worked for the 90s.
It sounds slightly more exciting than Housekeeper.
Yeah. I've been playing lots of old games thanks to the GOG sale. I've been playing Sanitarium, which is another kind of adventure game, but fucked up. Just like the first proper level is about children whose parents were all killed by a monster that told them God took them away, and then she started transforming them to make them handsome. And like kids with 2 mouths, and one kid whose face is turning into a leaf.
Oh wow, that sounds good. What kind of stuff do you do in it?
It's kind of like a point and click adventure, but there's a few little combat-y elements and stuff. You pick up things, put them in other places, talk to people. It's just very weird.
That sounds awesome.
But fun. I've been enjoying that one.
I have a question about the game. Is it pedophilia?
I don't know, but let's find out. At this point, there would have been great music and glitter, and my Property of Jesus shirt would have turned into a purple glittery spandexy suit, but that's not going to happen. I'm just going to ask Jonathan Holmes some questions.
Oh, yeah, me?
Yeah, because you
Okay.
you enjoy fielding questions about sexual offences.
They're getting more and more frequent and like specific. Like, do you remember that scene in that movie? It was really disturbed. I think it was pedophilia. Can you tell me about that? It's like how you gotta watch for it. Like the requests are getting more like time consuming for me and like desperate. Like I really need the answer tonight, or I'm really not sure what I'm gonna do.
And
And
you
like
Holmes,
actually answer.
now, but I'm really disturbed. And through Twitter, can you counsel me through this pedophilia question?
Yeah, I mean, we need to say that since this went up, since we started this successful roller coaster of a regular section. Jonathan Holmes has been asked on Twitter many, many times by our listeners various
Or
pedophilia questions.
who are you? Just people that that heard about me from you. They don't even know what content.
I have been
Pedophilia guy, you're a real expert on pedophilia. I heard through Twitter.
Well, I
My
consider
penis
myself
is
your
a little
secretary.
itchy, and I just saw a little kid jump rope. Am I a pedophile now? Help me before it's too late.
I mean, I'm something of a secretary to you. Because I don't know if you know this, but Jonathan Holmes runs a well-respected international virtual clinic. And the website for that clinic is twitter.com/tronnuts, TRONKNOTTS. And that's the name that's his handle, as described in Time magazine, which named him their person of the year for his duties and achievements in the field of pedophilia.
Just the
Wait.
field of pedophilia. That's
wait, what
right.
happened? What happened? I'm sorry. The delivery man came.
Oh,
Oh, that's
I'm just telling people about Jonathan Holmes's achievements and accomplishments as a doctor,
Oh my.
as a fully qualified. It's what they've started to call VDocs, virtual doctors.
I haven't heard of that.
You
Wow.
So well, I mean, you haven't heard of them because you're the first one, and it's so secret you didn't know until now. Only Obama, who I'm sick of hearing about. Who else is
Racist.
famous and influential?
Did he make them?
Oprah Winfrey
Oprah Winfrey.
and me know about it. Like, we worked on the project together, me and Obama and Oprah Winfrey.
Picturing that think tank,
Yeah.
that board. That would be pretty
It was
amazing.
a stink wank by the time we were done because we
A stink wank.
Yeah, we fucked each other until everywhere smelled.
You,
A stink
Oprah and Obama.
wank.
Wow. Fan art of that would be appreciated.
Yes,
listeners.
please draw pictures of me having sex with Obama. Is that treason? It's got to be treason in the case of Oprah, surely.
You know what
I
just
don't
showed
think
up?
so.
Guys,
What?
I
What-
just
what
got
just
in the
showed-
mail a copy
get?
of My Neighbor Totoro.
Oh, good.
And having it arrive and then sit down and open it and be like, oh, Totoro, while you guys are talking about pedophiles and virtual doctors.
Yeah.
It's like
I know,
it's like if
dude.
it's like if my 6-year-old child walked in while I was inventing nude beekeeping with two of my male friends.
Oh, God, I'm actually joking. Oh, God. Oh, yeah, that reminds me of Oprah, then, what I just said. Okay, actually, I have been sent some questions from a friend of mine, Jonathan.
Okay. Oh, what?
Now,
They're pedophilia questions, you mean?
Two.
They're not video game related questions. They're pedophilia.
They might be video game related. You don't know yet. He's a big
You're
fan
right.
of the podcast.
Okay, very good.
He's a fan of you. And
That's
he
very
wants to
nice.
know a lot of things about you and your sort of life. So he asked me some questions.
Okay.
Here's the first question. This is from my friend Louis, okay?
Yes.
Is it pedophilia if you hold up pictures of children to people wanking on chat roulette?
That's not a question about me. That doesn't feel like he likes.
It's about your work.
It is not pedophilia if you were masturbating and then someone forces you to think about women. It is a form of abuse, though. You're abusing the masturbator, which is always a dangerous proposition. You never know where that's going to go. So yes, don't abuse masturbators. Give them their time and maybe talk to them later.
I have
That's my-
one.
Yeah.
If
You have
okay,
one?
I have one. If you okay, wait. Okay. Wait. So if you are jerking off to a picture of a deer, but the deer doesn't have antlers, is that what is that? Is that pedophilia or something else?
Yeah.
No. It's
I would
just-
like to ask that same question as well, but I would substitute deer for eggs.
If you're trying to if you're trying to have sex with baby animals, is that extra wrong?
No,
or just
no,
regular
it's-
wrong?
It's regular wrong.
Because they don't really recognize age, animals. Like a dog will fuck a puppy. Probably.
A little bit.
And they don't.
At gunpoint they will.
I'm pretty sure that they don't have birthday parties, which
Yeah.
is probably why. Do you think animals who people give them
Is it
birthday
pedophilia if a kid has never had a birthday party? So they don't know what age they are. Like, is it wrong? Like, if you tell a 6-year-old that they are 30 years old, is that pedophilia?
No, it's not. No, unless you're
No.
trying to. Wait, did
not
I get the
pedophilia.
question right? This is scary. Did you try to have sex with them or do anything
Of
sexual?
course you did, Jonathan. Of course you
Okay,
did.
I missed that part.
Okay, so that is okay.
Then it's
What if? And this is one I thought of last night. We'll come back to Louis' question. He's got a very varied question. Don't worry, Jonathan. Don't worry. Louis got very varied questions for you. But I wanna stick with the pedophilia bit for now before moving on to what Louis has to say. Is it, and I thought this last night, is it pedophilia if you're wanking over IV scans or whatever it is? What's the scan they do of a pregnant woman? The black and white, cloudy, it's not IV scan, that's something else. The black and white ultrasound, that's it, thank you. Is it pedophilia if you're wanking over ultrasound photos?
You mean just a cloudy gray mass?
Just something, but you know it's a fetus.
Well, I mean, what are you?
You find that erotic? I mean, is it pedophilia to find fetuses erotic?
That's a tough one. It is. It's
Very much
not.
you can eat a placenta, and that's not cannibal.
Yeah, if you want to have sex with a fetus, no, that's not strictly pedophilia because a fetus isn't a child.
What about after
Oh my god.
certain trimesters?
If you want to have sex with a pregnant woman, that's not pedophilia.
You guys sound
what if you try and touch
taking this very seriously.
the baby while you're having sex with her? Don't worry, Max. Don't worry.
You guys sound like if 4chan was the Mythbusters.
That would be a show I'd watch. Okay, it's not pedophilia if you have sex with a pregnant woman.
No.
But what if you're trying really hard to make your dick touch the baby?
Yeah, that's a warning sign. That's what they call a red flag. You can't exactly say that that's for sure a certifiable, put the stamp on their permanent record, pedophile thump. That's the sound.
In a way, we're satirizing the controversy of the abortion issue.
That's all we're doing.
In a way, it's kind of a Stephen Colbert kind of pointed jibe of society that makes people think about themselves and the world they live in. But that's enough of the pedophilia stuff. I'm sorry.
Oh, really?
I know.
Oh, awesome.
I just want to answer the rest of Louis' questions for you. Okay.
He has other questions for me?
Yeah. He's got questions.
Non-pedophilia related.
So Louis' second question: is it pedophilia to wank over pictures of yourself as a child?
Yeah, that is pedophilia. Yeah? Even if it's you.
What if you fantasize about yourself as a kid being touched by a bad uncle?
No. Yep.
Yeah.
That's pedophilia. Yep.
Hairless body, supple calves.
Yeah, that's all.
That's
That's
wrong.
under the
Even if
realm
it's you.
of. Yeah, there's a certain age and there's different types of pedophilia, as you probably know. There's the kind where you're attracted to someone who is physically an adult, but is technically and emotionally still a child. That's very different than, actively liking, what do
Yeah.
you call them? Supple thighs or something? Hairless calves?
I
What'd you
wasn't
say?
thinking about the thighs. You're creeping higher up. Where are you trying to reach here?
I just think thighs is a funny word.
Yeah, milky
I
thighs.
feel
Yeah.
so guilty being on this podcast while a copy of My Neighbor Totoro is in the same room as me.
My Neighbor Totoro has been accused of being a pro-pedophilia movie because there is a scene where a dad and his two kids take a bath in the same bathtub, naked.
Is that pedophilia or not?
That is not pedophilia. It's completely devoid of
What if
any
he
sexual
fucks them?
tension.
What about the part where what about the part where the little girl goes out in the woods and
Uh-huh.
she finds the big furry man and he's asleep and she gets in the bed with him and she pokes him and then at night they ride around on an umbrella together? Would that be an allegory for pedophilia in Totoro?
No.
He has a cat bus. He has a cat
That-
bus. The cat bus is basically an anthropomorphic rape van. It's like the
It's
cat bus
very
basically
comfortable.
is a stuffed animal car. It's like if you're gonna try and get a little. God, did I just break Jonathan Holmes?
I really like My Neighbor Totoro. It's
I do
a
too,
pet
actually.
peeve of mine. I'll show it to people and they'll be like, "This is a good movie," and then that part where they take a bath together happens, and they'll be like, "This is disgusting.
Really?
It's a sex movie now." I'm like, people can be a family and not be horny. What? Why do you? People
Yeah.
think that any sort of affection or anything
You
vaguely to
should
do with nudity means sex. It's a bummer.
you should just be like, well, fuck you guys, and then put on like Pompoko with the
I
raccoons
should
with
do that.
giant. Oh, you don't like creepy shit? Well, here it's a movie about shape shifting raccoons with giant nut sacks that they use as hang gliders.
Yeah, I love that movie a lot. Have you seen that, Jim? They use they'll
No.
stretch out their testicles and turn it into a red carpet, and then the king will march down the red carpet that just is balls, and
Yeah,
all
I haven't
proud.
seen that. I've just seen clips of it, but
It's pretty good.
I was at Japantown the other day because I live near Japantown and it's the greatest. And I was there, had some soup, and then I went to this crazy little China shop and they just had all these statues of tanukis, which I didn't realize that they were tanukis. I thought they were badgers, and then I realized that they were tanukis, which are raccoon dogs, as it were.
Mhm.
And then I went home and
Uh-huh.
these statues have these big peering eyes and they have big nipples and they have big nut sacks. They're really genuinely
sure do.
upsetting
They're not
to
sexy
look at.
though.
And
Well, they're not.
no,
It's
they're
weird because no. Okay, what?
Mhm.
What happened?
I was just gonna say
still
that
here?
they're very much not sexy. Hello, Jim?
Well, yeah, that's the
Hello?
thing. They're not.
What?
They're not
You
intended.
there?
Yeah, the sound got weird for a second. They're not intended to make you horny, and this is something that confuses a lot of people, particularly about Destructoid.com and its panache for the occasional bout of, let's say, a MS Paint drawing of Nathan Drake with a giant Subway sandwich for a penis, or a picture of Sonic the Hedgehog and Link making out passionately on a college campus. That wasn't intended to make you horny, and therefore it's not pornography, and therefore it's not particularly not safe for work unless there's nudity or nipple or some trouble that'll make your boss sad. That's the way I see it. It's maybe a comedy that's inappropriate for certain settings, but it's not like you're
I
going to
have a
be
simple.
feeling around
Yeah.
downstairs on that. Yeah.
I have a simple little poem that helps
You
determine whether
do.
something's not safe for work or not.
Okay.
Yeah. If ye see no vag strong, click it at the office all day long.
Is that like
All day long.
All day long.
is that
You
William
get there,
Blake?
you're just clicking on that one picture of Nathan Drake's
Yeah.
penis.
I will admit, ever since Nick Chester left to join Harmonix, I have gotten worse. Because I'm pushing my limits and seeing what I can get away with, like a child who's got a new stepfather.
Sure. So far, so good.
So far, so good. Dale's into it. I actually got no opinion from him. Chad's into it.
Chad enjoys it.
Chad's like an editor-in-chief.
This site.
He sent me,
Special place for
when I did the picture of the mascot from Theme Park fucking a gamer up the arse, Chad sent me an email and said that he loved the anal blood I drew. And that was a professional work email I received from a colleague. My favourite bit was the anal blood.
Yeah, very cute and innocent Disney-like colleague.
And I was at work when I drew that, so it was safe for my work. So I don't see what the fuck everyone's got a problem with.
I always think about I think about Destructoid sometimes like it's the Rebel Alliance, and there are scattered out locations everywhere, and we're all kind of just like struggling to do what we do, and it's all, you know, we're all fighting the good fight, but we're kind of scattered out, and it's sort of like if I don't know who I'd be Princess Leia, you know, I'm Princess Leia, and I go off. Maybe I'm Han Solo. I'm Han Solo, and I go off with Princess Leia, and we're off, and we're making the Destructoid show, and we're off in our like, you know, side location, and then we're like, oh, we better go back to that rebel base, and we go back to that rebel base, and there's just fucking tiki decorations everywhere, and just vomit all over the floor, and it's like, what were they doing? What happened?
That sounds about right. Yeah, that's what it was like in the house for sure.
Description of Destructoid.
I love Destructoid.
That said, my house is quite neat and nice.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Mine's not. There's no vomit in mine. It's a little cluttered though.
I keep the mess inside.
Did you guys hear about what happened to the Destructoid house?
Not really. No.
I've heard several dozen things that happened at the Destructoid house.
That's the thing.
But I don't know what happened to.
Of legend was the closest thing we ever had to like a real office, you know, where everyone was living under one roof, and it was like a terrorist staging ground meets a frat house. Holmes, you lived there for a little bit, you know.
I did for a few months.
There, it was a crazy place. I think it burned down. Like Hamza posted a picture of it this morning on Facebook, and it was just engulfed in flames.
Wow.
And yeah, it was just weird because, I mean, like, you know, Nero lived there, Hamza lived there, Tara lived there, Holmes, you lived there. You know, pretty much it was like it's like Hogwarts or something. It was
sure. Flixist people too lived there. Some Flixist going on there.
Yeah, there were about 30 people living in there, wasn't there? Not.
That's how it
I'd always
felt.
go over there, and there'd be some new guy on a computer, and I'd have no idea who he was. I'm like, hey, where's the guys? And they'd be like, upstairs, and I'd be like, okay.
Yeah, that's how it was.
But apparently the place burnt down, so
I'll miss it. I'll go back there and, you know, pour out a 40 for it, because a lot of good times happen there. That's where MASH Tactics started. That's more or less where the Destructoid show started. Nero actually had us shoot some practice footage down there. It's a birthplace to a lot of good stuff down there. Yeah. Sad thing. It's gone.
Probably good, because they can never figure out our secrets now.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's more mysterious now. Feels good.
The secret formula for Kellogg's Frosties will never be found. Okay.
What now? VGAs talk?
Oh,
really.
I don't want to talk about the VGAs.
Come on! There was some really cool... There was Revengeance. There was the Last of Us. There was Command and Conquer with the BioWares and the Mass Effect 3 Boogity and the big one and the Punch and the different guys and the cupcakes. Come on.
Did they announce a new Dungeon Keeper or not?
I wouldn't know.
No, they didn't. So it was rubbish.
Diablo 3, you know, Hogwarts edition.
Blah 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 blue 3, more like.
That was a pretty good attack. I really liked that trailer.
It actually did look quite nice.
Yeah, I don't want to play the game at all. But
the Spike Video Game Awards were shit. So that's... I mean, I don't know what more else can be extrapolated from that.
Just the news that came of it.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about the news that came of it.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
like
want to talk
that.
about the dog and pony show that it was attached to. I haven't seen yet still the trailer for The Last of Us. I haven't got round to it.
Oh, that's too
Did it
bad.
look good?
Well, I don't.
Don't say anything. Don't, because remember the Dead Island trailer?
I don't. Yeah, I'm not concerned about that. Sony and Naughty Dog. Say what I will about them because I do not like the Uncharted series at all. The Uncharted trailers have been completely honest in showing you what you get in the Uncharted games. So, but for better or worse, I don't think Sony and Naughty Dog are gonna put out a lie of a trailer like the Dead Island trailer. They're gonna, show you what their game is like and what they're thinking is going to be in the creation of their games.
Yeah. I mean,
Trailer.
I'm not a big fan of the way Uncharted plays, but they're good at crafting a story.
Oh yeah, it's a really well crafted game. I just don't like any of the characters or the gameplay at all. Like it's actively painful for me to play those games. I wanna
They're very weird. There's a weirdness to
just hate all those people. Oh, I hate the
it.
entire cast of Uncharted so much.
I
But
started playing. Sorry.
yeah, no, go ahead.
I was gonna say I started playing Shadow Complex. I actually started playing it a couple of years ago,
I don't
or
like
whenever
those
it came
people
out
either.
at my friends, and it's like it's such a bad story,
Yeah,
such a bad.
those-
It's such a fucking awesome game, but the characters are just terrible.
the game is really good. Yeah. So The Last of Us, when the trailer came on, I immediately was like, oh no, more Uncharted, because it looks Uncharted-y. You know the Uncharted trailers for some reason. The first one, they'll just pan over like a book on a desk and be like, "We're gonna have an adventure." I'm like, oh god. So they're panning across a room, but it's all disheveled and destroyed, and then the stuff starts happening, and it looks incredible. And I'm totally into it. That's one of my most anticipated games right now is The Last of Us. I never
Nice.
thought I would say that. Yeah, I'm hoping that it's going to be a cross between Uncharted and Resident Evil 4, except with more exploration. That's what I'm imagining based on the trailer, because they set the precedent pretty quickly that realism is a focus. You definitely didn't get the sense that the characters were super heroic or out of reality in any way. And they also really made you feel like you didn't know who to trust at all. Like in the trailer, there's a young woman. She seems completely defenseless. She hears something upstairs in the roof, so she runs up to the attic, and there's just this giant bearded man hacking away at somebody with a hand axe, and you're like, Jesus Christ, he's gonna kill her. And then he's like, oh, got that one. And you're like, that's one of the good guys? Someone like murdering someone with a hand axe? And then it turns out, it's kind of like the Omega Man / I Am Legend, where there's all these mutants that are human-like, and you don't know if any of the people are going to turn into them, any of the main characters, and they have to kill to survive and stuff.
I really hope it's not like full-on zombie stuff, and I don't think it will be, looking at how they're showing it off. But even like from an I Am Legend standpoint, that's supposed to be fucking vampires. I don't like and the thing I like about the whole post-apocalyptic thing is the loneliness. Like how like isolated and empty, like the fact that you're exploring like what's left of a world.
Mm-hmm.
It might as well be an alien planet, and I really hope that they put emphasis on that, and you get kind of a like The Road, like Cormac McCarthy kind of feel to it.
That's what I'm hoping too. Well, the Road was a dad and a kid, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for, is the dad and kid dynamic where
As long as they don't share a bath.
Yeah, that's right. You gotta watch that. You say, I want that dad and dude, that kid dynamic with a dude. You can't say that. Not get in trouble. Anyway, I'm hoping that the kid, or in this case the teenage girl, constantly vulnerable, not really sure if the bearded guy is going to have her best interest at heart all the time, so you'll be afraid of him too. But at the same time, he's a resource, and that dynamic. There's a lot that can be done with that. I'm quite optimistic for it, and hopeful.
Nice.
Yeah, thanks for letting me rant about that.
Hey, you are welcome.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Come on now. Come on, guys. Democracy and freedom of America. What else was there? There's like Command and Conquer. I don't give a rat's fuck about Command and Conquer.
Well, it was a shock that it was BioWare, but it's not the
Yeah.
same people at BioWare that did all the other BioWare games, so it's
What's their
BioWare
name?
really.
BioWare
BioWare?
something. It's
Victory.
BioWare's
Yeah, like
Victory.
TM or something. Yeah.
It's
So,
Victory Studios, I think.
Yeah.
mm,
I'm downloading, speaking of BioWare, I'm downloading The Old Republic right now. Been downloading it all day. Who made the
Oh.
fart noise?
that
That's
was
me.
me.
Sorry.
You like the
Um,
Old Republic? a
Get
little
out
bit?
of the class, boy!
I hate it. I
Yeah?
hate it.
Really?
I don't.
I
It
know
just
that
it
much.
makes me. It's taking like the word Star Wars in it is probably the most interesting part for me.
Mm.
Yes, I know they have a bounty hunter class that's very exciting, but it's like it's the kind of prequel universe, and it's an MMO, and it looks colorful and cartoony, and I'm not remotely interested in playing it.
Fair dues.
Damn. Yep.
I'm remaining cautiously, like, I'm not even optimistic. I'm trying to go into it with no opinion.
Mm.
I mean, it was very hurriedly. They just sent me an email like, "Oh, hey, early access tomorrow. Get on that shit." So I've downloading it now at the last minute. I could have been playing it earlier, but it's like 25 fucking gigs, so that's gonna take forever. But I was looking at the character classes, and it looks like it could be fun. I want to be a Sith Inquisitor and walk around doing Force lightning. I actually like the character design, which I haven't liked the character design for Star Wars for quite some time, but I actually felt it worked here. And I'm not a big Star Wars fan anyway, so that actually works here because I don't feel like I'm being betrayed in any way. So it's actually
Sure.
working in my favor that I like Star Wars, but I'm not into Star Wars.
Yeah.
It's always been kind of more disposable entertainment for me. So I think I'm in a healthy mindset to go into it, so we will see. But anyway, that is enough of that sour bollocks. What else happened at the Spike Vaginas?
Revengeance. Revengeance.
I want the Transformers.
Oh God.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Looked alright.
I
Looked pretty
fucking
good.
loved. I loved War for Cybertron, so I'm all about it.
Yeah, I need to get War for
Revengeance?
Cybertron. I have a problem with we can talk about Revengeance in a second.
Revengeance.
Revengeance. I'm torn on War for Cybertron just because like the whole thing I like about Transformers is that it's taking stuff that I see every day and making it really exciting by turning into robots. And on Cybertron, it's just a planet where everything is robots. So it's kind of like, you like sugar? I got you a whole bag of sugar. I'm like, I don't know if I want that whole bag of sugar, dude. I don't know if I can handle that. Also, it doesn't make any sense to me why they would have a robot that turns into a dinosaur when they're on a planet where dinosaurs never existed. Is it really?
Yeah. From what I remember, Grimlock in this particular canon, in this universe, is the result of Shockwave, who in this universe is like portrayed as some fucking like Joseph Mengele type character, just this fucking like amoral robot equivalent of a geneticist.
The bots from Brazil.
But Grimlock is the result of Shockwave's sort of weird experiments, and he is studying life on Earth, which at that point is in the kind of dinosaur type era. So he studies that and then basically just thinks, what would that look like as a robot? And does it to Grimlock. And apparently that, like, because it's an experimental type thing, like every time Grimlock transforms, it is physically hurting him because he's not meant to bend that way or whatever. So it's like...
Is that why he's retarded? And that why he's like, me Grimlock?
It's like, apparently beforehand he's like a generally, savvy transformer, and then that just degenerates his mind.
I fucking love Transformers. I love Transformers, and I love G.I. Joe because you took a toy for stupid children and turned it into something bigger. Like, it's just, there's so much, it got fleshed out so much. Like, the G.I. Joe comics, I just watched the trailer for G.I. Joe new movie.
Oh, G.I.
Um,
Joe 2?
Yeah, it's called like Revengeance or something.
Revenge.
Retaliation, I think. Um,
Retaliengeance.
yeah, it doesn't have any Wayans brothers in it. It's got The Rock, which looks kind of cool, but there's one shot that has the White House with the Cobra flag being raised on it, which is just like gave me chills.
I never even really watched G.I. Joe and I got chills off that. Like, that's some
Sounds pretty
powerful
awesome.
imagery. Like, just like you said, they take that stuff that we sort of grew up with as kids that was silly at the time, and just by making it a bit more grown up, it can send shivers down your spine.
And it looks like they're really going to work with Snake Eyes too, because he's like, I mean, originally it's like, yeah, it's a toy, he's a ninja, he's got a sword and a little Uzi and a dog named Timber. And then they were like, well, in the comics, how about this? He got his vocal cord severed in a helicopter accident, so he doesn't speak, which is okay because he's a ninja, and he spends all his time sitting in a fucking sensory deprivation chamber, so he's like super in tune with everything, and he fights Storm Shadow because they used to be part of the Arashikage clan. It's like, that's from fucking toys. How do you explain like the color change water squirting ones? What are you going to do there?
Oh, you mean Zartan?
Well, I mean, there was a similar thing they did with... there's a Transformer called Sunstorm who only is around because there was someone accidentally put a yellow Transformer in the pilot episode because they were so cheaply made that someone just like didn't color a Transformer right, so there's this yellow Starscream. And they came up with this idea that he had like his energon spark or whatever like went into critical mass, so he is now basically just a walking radiation conduit, and if he goes near anything it burns, and because of that and because of the fact he's not allowed near anyone, he went mental and now thinks he's the messiah of Transformers.
I didn't know about that. Is that the comics or what is
they
that?
went out in the comics and they released a toy with information on it, and like you said, just that from a fucking deluded messiah, and you in toys.
Yeah.
Try getting that from fucking Yo Gabba Gabba. But
I'm sure. Well, back then the writers were anyone that they could get who were as excited and willing to do it. And they were actually brimming over with creativity, but had to funnel their creativity into this vessel that was basically a big toy commercial. But they came up with some pretty awesome stuff.
They did an admirable job, yeah.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah. Also, the whole Shockwave thing in the game is good because it gave them an excuse to put the Insecticons in. And I'm going to take... Yeah, and I've got no confirmation for this, but I'm going to take credit for that. I don't give a fuck. Because I was the one back before War for Cybertron came out, I kept banging on about Insecticons because they're my favourite Transformers. And I asked them in interviews, I was like, dude, are you going to put Insecticons in? And they're like, I don't think we are. What about as DLC? Can you put some Insecticons in or not? And then suddenly we have Insecticons? I'm going to take...
Well, you talked to them... Yeah, so that conversation happened between you and the developers of the game, is what you're saying?
I asked, I've been asking about Insecticons for a while, and then it turned out that they're in this one. I'm going to ask them at some point. It's going to sound so egotistical, but I don't fucking care. I'm going to say, look, can I tell everyone that Insecticons are in this game because of me? And I'm sure they'll look at me and just go, well, I mean, you can tell everyone that, but it ain't fucking true.
Well, you never know. You might... I was playing Cave Story 3D for review, and I beat it, and then my name is just in the credits as special thanks. I'm like, what? No one even told me. They might credit you. You might even be in the game. You don't even know.
I better be in the fucking game. What else have we got? So that was War for Fall of Cybertron, which I'm very much looking forward to because Insecticons.
Revengeance?
I mean, that was the last thing they revealed, so I thought we were going to talk about that last.
It was the first thing I saw.
I'm going through in I'm going from order from beginning to last, like when they revealed. At some point in the evening, they showed off Darksiders 2, but they didn't really show anything.
Yeah, it was just a commercial.
Yeah, we've seen gameplay before.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that teaser was doing. I guess just like you say, just a commercial. But yeah, that's cool. Looking forward to that. Loved the first Darksiders, so Darksiders 2, all right by me. Bioshock Infinite again was similar. We haven't really seen anything new from it. You know, we saw.
Yeah, but this one was extra touching.
Oh, it had music in it.
It's very touching.
Yeah. Emotional.
It was
I really hate the emotional music. Like, and people got mad at me for this, but it's like, this isn't. They don't make Oscars for video games yet. Especially Bioshock Infinite, it worked. That was actually a pretty good music choice. I kind of wish they'd gone with maybe a little bit less of a whimsical version of that song. You know, maybe have like an old folky kind of version of it as opposed to like a Sarah McLachlan sound alike. And then for the Transformers one, they had like the guy from Tool, and the fucking song about is like the river of crossing the river of honesty or some shit, I forget, but it's like just like really intense and serious and downbeat, and I'm like, dude, this is a game about robots. I know they can get intense, but like, give me something either grandiose or something really cool, like fast paced. This like Down to Earth is exactly the opposite vibe of everything about Transformers on Cybertron. Yeah. They're not on
ever
Earth.
Since the Mad World commercial for Gears of War, they're like, oh,
that is definitely what started it. Yeah, it's a
moods.
I mean, it's an old trick, really, but it works for a lot of people.
What I hate is that idiots go, "Oh no, man! It shows it's really emotional," and I'm like, you have two thoughts to rub together, and you're rubbing them as hard as you can right now. It's
wow.
Someone was like, the Gears of War one was, and I'm like, that's a game where you fucking cut up giant worms with a chainsaw. Like, it needs to pick one. If it's going to be thought-provoking and examining the horrors of war, that's cool. I'm okay with that. That's what I love about Metal Gear Solid, is it's like, it's kind of examining the culture of war, which is like a scary thing to look at. Except it's made by really smart people. And I don't think Gears of War is, which is why they have like dumbass locker room bro time. But then all of a sudden one of their wives dies, and it's like, oh man, let's listen to Gary Jules because that was at the end of Donnie Darko, the most serious movie Cliffy B's ever fucking seen.
Oh, you did it. Y'all, what
Sorry.
up and done? You just, wow. You're on a tear. That's a good tear.
It's I mean, I think someone once said that using established or using any kind of music is cheating. And I don't necessarily agree with that because, I value music very, very highly and believe it, it should be accessed like a tool in many other sort of audio-visual tricks you can use. But I can see the logic, and I can see how something like the Gary Jules Mad World Gears of War trailer and the Transformers one is a kind of cheat, Like, it's a kind of cheap way, because there wasn't emotion in the Transformers commercial. There was an emotional tune, and there was robots punching each other in the face.
Bumblebee got hurt.
And no one gives a shit about... You show me someone who gives a flying fuck about Bumblebee, and I'll show you a crap person.
Well, to me, it's only a cheat if the game comes out and it doesn't effectively cause you to feel anything that the trailer led you to think you would feel.
Like I said, it's fucking Dead Island, It's I love trailers. I think trailers are I think they're a medium that's really underappreciated. However, I hate it when a trailer is so well done that it pales whatever it's advertising. When it
lies to you, basically. Yeah.
One of the worst things is when they use a song in a trailer that they don't use in the game or the movie or whatever it is. Like Sin City, when that came out, that had a really badass original trailer. And in the song they used was by like this band, The Servant, and like that never showed up in the movie at all. And I'm glad when Saints Row used Power in their trailer that was actually in the game. I thought that was really cool that they worked it into a set piece.
I was really annoyed as well when Lord of the Rings, I think it was Return of the King, used Britney Spears' Lucky in its trailer, and they crowned Aragorn and they never played that song.
That's very true. Oh God, it's funny you'd say that because I remember seeing trailers for the Two Towers where they were using the Requiem for a Dream music, and I'm like, it's got an epic fucking score by a different person. Like, why are you using the theme from a different movie for the trailer for one movie? I want to
Well, it's
find
all
whoever.
about trying
I would like to. I'd like to find whoever made that decision and just kill
Well, they
them.
lie to get people who
Well,
wouldn't
they want to
normally.
make you think of a film you've already seen
Well,
and
that
that
always
you liked. I used to study performing arts and drama at a shitty little college in a shitty little town in Orpington. Funnily enough, the drama department no longer exists there. It was just scoured from memory like so many other places I've been to. But so many of the performances, the little shitty little plays that people would put on, the other less talented students than me, I was talented. But they would, as you're walking into I hesitate to call it a theatre or a studio, the grotty room where they put on performances, a startling amount of students would use as the music before the show goes on. They would use the soundtrack from American Beauty.
Oh yeah, you talked about this.
Have I talked about this before?
I think so.
And even then, even as a 16-year-old, I could tell, like, dude, you're only using that because you are trying to trick the audience into thinking that you're as clever as American Beauty by making them think about American Beauty while they watch this. And it's just so, it is an obvious, and again, that's where the cheating aspect comes in. And you're right, it's only a cheat if the content of the film or game isn't good enough to match the trailer. But when it's not, then it is a cheat. I mean, I like Gears of War. I love the Gears of War series, but no, it's not the Mad World.
It's not a Mad World feeling. No.
And again, Dead Island. I like Dead Island. It's nice enough, but it's not. Dead girl fell out the window.
That video was like that could work as like a short film almost.
Oh, that's how I took it. As a piece of short digital art, it's a beautiful piece.
Yeah.
But it's
better than the game.
It had no business advertising Dead Island.
No. But I don't think The Last of Us will be like that. I'm pretty sure that The Last of Us trailer was legit. So we'll see. And Revengeance.
I'll definitely be crying. I'll be crying while playing.
You want to talk about Revengeance?
Oh God, let's get it. Yeah, let's get it out of the way for him.
What's there to talk about, really?
It's a game. There's so much to talk about. Metal Gear Solid Rising got canceled, and Revengeance is kind of the rebirth of a project that Kojima and company clearly didn't think was worth even finishing, but Platinum Games came to them and said, we want to finish this game that you don't want to make, and they just let them do it, and then this is what it's turning out to be so far. And the fan outcry? Come on. You guys love fan outcry when they're like, yeah. Don't you love that?
I don't know.
Like,
for some reason, I think it's just because I have such an unformed opinion. I've not even been able, like with the Devil May Cry stuff, I was very easily able to take a side because I knew what side I was already on. I knew what I thought. I thought, the game looks like it's going to be fucking good. Shut up. And I trust the studio. I trust Ninja Theory. Platinum, I have a 50-50 rate with those guys. I love half their games, hate half their games. So it could go either way. And based on that footage, I can't say which way it's going to go at all. So
Sure.
I'm really treading the line here. I'm so on the fence. It's, I'm practically wearing that fence like a thong.
Well, based on the trailer, what do you think they're trying to...
It's a beautiful image.
What do they want you to think the game is going to be like based on
I don't know,
the
they should have used the Mad World song. Then I'd have said it was emotional, and then I'd have liked it.
For me,
just stop saying the word emotional, by the way, to describe things. That word means nothing on its own.
Well, it depends on the emotion that you're talking about, right?
Just saying a game is emotional.
Use a good word like visceral.
Yeah.
No, not visceral. No.
Can we say that the game is immersive?
Yeah, definitely say it's immersive and visceral and emotional.
And That's awful. Submit will be so sad, and the other guys.
Yeah, I mean, Raiden picks up a Metal Gear Ray and throws it in the air, runs up its arm, cuts it in bits, and it looks cool. It does look cool. I mean, I've said it, God, twice now. It looks like Ultimate Spider-Man as compared to Amazing Spider-Man, which isn't inherently a bad thing. I'm just really curious as to how they're gonna like coexist, these two very different styles.
Sure.
Fair play to them if they do it, but it's gonna look. It runs the risk of looking very jarring.
This is an example of people being afraid to make a new franchise, or a new IP. Like, it's just, this doesn't look anything like Metal Gear that we know. It's using familiar characters, but otherwise, like, as far as a game, like, there's no. I mean, from what we've seen, like, there's no sneaking. There's no. It doesn't really take place along with the regular storyline. Like,
yeah, so
I mean, this is like if you made a Spider-Man cooking game. Like, what if it was like, hey, what if Spider-Man liked to dance? This is Spider-Man's dance extravaganza? And it's like, oh, well, I really like the other Spider-Man games. I just, I kind of like some dance games. I just don't know if I'm going to enjoy this one because I'm expecting too many different things in too many different ways.
That's a good point. I think that if Metal Gear wasn't such an extremely different type of game that people go to, only every 4 or 5 years they come out with one of those. Well, come to think of it, Peace Walker came out not that long after Metal Gear Solid 4. But anyway, they don't come out all that often, and it's the only place you can really get that kind of feeling. Like, if you want a military shooter feeling, there's a variety of different places you can get that. If you want, a God of War type feeling, there's tons of God of War clones out there that some of them are pretty good. If you want Metal Gear feeling, you can really only get that from Metal Gear. So then they announce a new Metal Gear game, and rightfully so, people are like, awesome, that feeling I only get a couple times, a century, a decade I'm going to get. And then instead they get a guy cutting a guy in half and then continuing to cut away at his body even after it's been shot.
And the feeling you get from a Platinum game is very different from a feeling you get from a Kojima Productions game.
Exactly. And I could be wrong. When the game comes out, it may have the right balance between the Platinum technique of making a game and the Kojima technique. It may be a perfect blend, but the trailer didn't lead me to think that. The trailer led me to think there was going to be electric guitar solos and a man cutting other men in half and throwing giant robots around. Basically just a total power fantasy without any of the subtlety and the capacity for calm and quiet, juxtaposed with big violent set pieces that you get from Metal Gear. Like, Metal Gear is awesome because Snake is such a normal dude for the most part, and Raiden, he's throwing robots around. I can't. It's grounded in anything I can relate to. Anyway, yeah.
Hey, when maybe you're like, it's first thing in the morning and you go to the fridge and you're like, I'm gonna have some orange juice, and you're really sleepy, so you just grab the bottle and take a swig out of it, but you grab the milk by accident and you're expecting orange juice. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
That's the new definition of vengeance.
Also, question. When Raiden was fighting Vamp in Metal Gear Solid 4, why didn't he do that stuff then? That would have saved me an annoying boss fight.
If he technically could have picked him up and thrown him like a mile away.
Well, that bit when he just cuts, he could have cut. I don't care how many nanomachines are fucking repairing Vamp's body. There aren't enough nanomachines in the universe to fix the shit that Raiden's doing to everything in that Revengeance trailer. He could have done that. He could have done that to the entirety of Outer Haven. He could have taken on, like, all of Liquid Ocelot's army and his big nuclear base. He could have cut the nukes up. He could have done everything. He could have
just thrown a building at anyone. Yeah, he could have just picked up a skyscraper and thrown it at a guy.
That bit when Liquid Ocelot, activates the guns of the Patriots and the army can't shoot him because he's deactivated all their guns. Where was Raiden? Cutting everything up, just going down, down, down. I'm letting it rip. Bam, bam, bam.
Well, hey, man. Hey, listen. Remember when Metal Gear Substance came out and they were like, what if you could skateboard through the whole game? Maybe
That was pretty funny.
Revengeance is going to be. Maybe they're just totally fucking with us, and it's just going to be like Metal Gear Solid 4, but you just play as Raiden through the whole game, and you can just fly. Like you don't even have to walk. You're not even really on the screen. There's just like a background of like explosions, and you just kind of control Raiden, and you just do flips around the entire screen, and then every little bit there's a long cutscene that you have to watch.
Well, I'd hope so, because the most trolling Metal Gear game is definitely Metal Gear Solid 2, starring Raiden. So if we're ever going to get
Maybe
a
that's
truly...
it. Maybe we only play as Raiden for the first mission, and then Snake
be
takes
amazing.
over.
I still
be
haven't.
so good.
I love Kojima, but I still haven't forgiven him for that.
Yeah,
Like-
I totally embrace it. I think it's great.
God.
But I didn't like Metal Gear Solid 1 that much at the time, so for me it was like fun to watch everyone be miserable.
You don't like the action here. Who's your favorite X-Men, Holmes?
Jubilee,
That's a male?
I was gonna say.
A guy?
Of
X-Men?
any of them? X individuals?
They're fine. I kind of like the Hulk. I like
You
the
like
Hulk.
the Hulk?
That's not
Yeah,
an
he's
X-Man.
Oh,
That's not
I
X-Men at
know.
all.
Like Hellboy? He's
That's not That's not even the same. That's not even Marvel.
my favorite X-Man. Nightcrawler? Nightcrawler.
I
It's
knew you were
Nightcrawler.
going to say Nightcrawler.
He's
I
pretty
knew you were
cute.
going to say Nightcrawler.
Jumps around.
I love Nightcrawler too, but like I just knew that Wolverine was the last person you were thinking.
Wolverine's
Basically,
fine.
take a set of heroes, pick the one that looks the most like a plushie, and then that's the one. That's Holmes's.
I liked Archangel too when he had the metal wings. It was pretty good. I never liked Wolverine that much though, or Cyclops.
Cyclops is just a dick.
Yeah, he's kind of dick.
But yeah, I mean that's the thing is I guess Solid Snake, like I always liked him because he's like he's a total badass. He's based on Kurt Russell. Like he's inspired by Snake Plissken. He's like the guy you want to be, even though he doesn't really say anything. He just kind of stands there looking pissed off and sneaking around. And then they're like, let's get Raiden. And then
I thought that was a great trope.
And then they were like, what are we? Let's I guess turn him into a cyborg.
They've salvaged him pretty well. People like him now. They hated him after Metal Gear
He looks
Solid
like a
2,
scene kid version of Gray Fox, though. Like I love the original Cyborg Ninja, and he's like flipping around, looking like a cyborg ninja. And then you look at Raiden, and he looks like a fucking robot mummy. Like he's got high heels on.
I like
the thing is,
Raiden.
it didn't help him.
He's got like an eye patch, like a fucking pirate. He looks like one of the villains in the Masters of the Universe movie, like the one with the white hair sticking out.
I love that guy.
Kojima has been desperate to make us love Raiden ever since he debuted. Like he's been obsessed with it. He loves Raiden. He's the only one who does. And it's like I've defended Raiden as a narrative tool before. I thought he was important in Metal Gear Solid 2 to help us appreciate Snake more. But I still think he's a dick. Just as a character, as a personality, he's a waste of skin. And it didn't help him in Metal Gear Solid 4. He gave him all the badass fucking cyborg suit and the Ichi the Killer blade heels and stuff. But he was still a dick. He was still, Rose doesn't love me. I am bad at being hero.
He's like that. He's like that guy, that friend who makes a really bad first impression. Like you're like, hey, I'm bringing my buddy to the party, and you're like, oh, like and everyone's like, wow, he's kind of a wiener. Yeah. And you're like, no, you just have to get to know him better. You just have to get to know him better. And you're like, fuck. And then he comes over again, and he's got a new car, and he's like, guys, check out my new car. And he's trying really hard to impress everyone, and you're like, okay. Like, he was being himself before and didn't like him, and now he's trying to impress me, and it's making it worse. Yeah. And then he's like, why don't we go to Raiden's house? And then now we're at Raiden's house, and he's just flying around throwing Metal Gears in the air and shit.
And it's like the fucking... like Raiden's cyborg suit and all these badass fight scenes. To me, that's like the Gears of War Mad World thing or the Transformers Perfect Circle total music. It's like you can give him the fucking these awesome fight scenes, but very much like a game as compared to its trailer. When I think of Raiden, I don't feel the same way I feel watching him do all those fights because he's still a whining little turd of a man. It's like, you can give him as many swords, as many Ichi the Killer feet, and as many metal jaws as you like. Shit is still going to dribble out of his mouth every time he tries to talk/whine.
Wow. I liked him when he was, he's a pretty nice guy. He,
I actually hated him more in Metal Gear Solid 4. Like, Metal
Really?
Gear Solid 2, my only real problem is the fact that he goes crying to Colonel every time he sees something vaguely new. It's like, oh, I can see the sky. I better tell the Colonel, there's clouds in the sky. It's like just constantly like tugging on apron strings the whole time. But it was okay. I could deal with him. Metal Gear Solid 4, it was worse because he was more badass but whinier than ever. I'm a monster.
It's totally
No.
it's totally a Han Solo Luke
Wow.
Skywalker dynamic with him and Snake. You're like the one of them's older and he's genuinely cool, and one of them sort of like starts off as a little bitch, and you're like, oh great, I have to fucking put up with this guy. And then that guy's the hero, and then he comes back and he's got a fucking magic sword and he's cutting dudes up and he's all like super powered, and you're like, okay, the other guy's still cooler. Like,
But at least Skywalker dropped the whining. At least it was like, they made him more cool and collected and more in charge. Like, he was pretty coolish in Jabba's palace and everything. They had this calm, collected.
Yeah, he looked like a total badass when he was friend zoning his sister.
But I mean, you know what I mean. Like, at least he dropped some of his whiny bitch persona. With Raiden, it got worse. And it seems like they're trying to give him this now, like this rage edge, this whole, let's have some fun. By the way, Quinton Flynn, the guy who does the voice, he'll never sound badass. I'm sorry, he can't even pronounce his R's properly. It's just, Metal Gear Solid. Like, he sounds kind of dopey. And he sounds worse when he tries to add that, like, he tries to add a David Hayter kind of gruffness to his voice, and he just sounds like Daffy Duck.
Wow. That was a brutal attack that I enjoyed.
And bear in mind, I never had this feeling toward Raiden.
No.
It was only until Kojima forcefully tried to make him badass and tried to force me to like him more that I turned against him. It's Wesley Crusher syndrome all over again.
Oh, ouch. Well, I like Raiden because he saved Snake. He's nice. I like nice guys. Raiden's a nice guy. Simple enough for me. I don't mind whining, guys. You can whine all you want, guys. I don't mind. Just whine.
I don't think it like to take a guy who's sort of like a weak character and try and make him badass. It pretty much never works.
No.
Yeah, like they in original X-Men, like Cyclops was supposed to be the tormented one, and they were like, oh yeah, he's the leader of the team. He gets all straight A's. But he's scared of killing people with his laser eyes. And you're like, who fucking cares? Motherfucker's got laser eyes. I don't give a shit. Bangs a hot redhead. Like, fuck him. And then, fucking, like, Dragon Ball, for instance. You've got, like, Goku, and he's cool, or Gohan shows up, or whatever. But fucking Vegeta shows up, and he's the bad guy. And then he becomes good, and everyone loves him. Power Rangers. Tommy shows up. He's the bad guy. Everyone fucking loves him. Sure. I mean, that happens so much in everything. Is like if you bring a bad character in and make them good, everyone's like, hell yeah, I like him. He's my favorite. I mean, like half the X-Men started out as fucking villains and then they became good. Look at Lando Calrissian. Everyone likes Lando Calrissian, unless they're racists. And then,
I always like Lando Calrissian. He's great. Yeah.
He's awesome. And then you take like, I don't know, a character who starts off as just sort of normal and they're like trying to make him badass. It just doesn't work. You've got to take someone who's way too badass to the point that they're evil and then just scale it back.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, it's... when I liked Raiden?
When's that?
When he was Raidonovich in Snake Eater. When he was this bisexual, sadomasochistic little bitch who was only there for comic relief. And
Raiden wasn't in Snake Eater, was he? Was he even born yet?
A spoof version of him was in there. Rykov Raidonovich.
Oh, yeah!
The Colonel's sort of lover.
Fuck.
And I loved him in that. Especially like when you went to call the Major on the codec, the radio, and he's like, have you got him yet? I hate him. Don't you hate him? He's horrible. just slacking him off. And when they treated him like a joke, then it worked. It's
Yeah.
when you try and take him seriously, because he's got no credibility. That's the problem. He hasn't got the credibility as a character
Mhm.
to pull
Right.
off that tortured badass thing. He's not a tortured badass. The only badassery we've ever seen is the physical stuff, but being a physical badass is no good if you haven't got the attitude to go with it, and he hasn't got the attitude to go with it.
Right. Yeah. And I
The whole
actually
thing
like
about
Snake.
you
Oh, you know. Yeah.
well, I was gonna say it's like Fonzie. You know, it's that whole
Oh.
being cool thing. You being a badass. You got to not
Hmm.
try to do it. You know, if
Is
you're like,
Fonzie
we've got
doing
to
it
go
right
be
or wrong?
bad guys, we've got to be heroes. It's like you're trying too hard, man.
So
Like if you're
Fonzie does it right
reluctant
because
to,
he doesn't try that hard, right?
wait, what?
What? Are you pro Fonzie or anti Fonzie?
I'm
I
pro
can't.
Fonzie. I mean,
You're
he's
pro
like
Fonzie.
that's the whole James Dean like cool thing. Like the a character being cool. It's like either they're like goofy and funny and you find out they can be serious, or they're evil and that you find out they can be good, or they're if they're like trying too hard to do something, it's just like shut up, stop it,
Sure.
impress me.
Well, it seems selfish at that point. Like they're doing it because all they care about is how they look as opposed to what they really think. So once you become genuine, you suck. And Raiden does seem, his badassness anyway, seems genuine. It seems forced to try to make up for all the hate that people threw at him after Metal Gear Solid 2. It was like, I'm sorry I sucked
That's it.
before.
And
Here we go.
when did it
Yeah.
come out? When did fucking that game
Metal Gear
release? Metal Gear
Solid 2?
Solid 2, yeah. That was,
Right. A little after
2001.
the PlayStation 2 came out.
I
Yeah.
mean, we're
It was.
talking 10 years.
Mm,
It's been a decade, and if you're still trying to make people like Raiden, you failed. And I know
yeah.
that might be hard for Hideo Kojima to admit, but sometimes the best of us fail, and we can't
Mm.
succeed doing something. That's nothing to be ashamed of. Just leave it.
Well, the people who love Metal Gear Solid 2 really, really love it, and to be happy with that and
I love Metal Gear
drop,
Solid 2 as well. I
yeah,
just don't
just
think
drop it.
Raiden is a successful badass.
No,
It's not believable. It's never going to be believable. Stop trying. I'd
that's right.
rather Revengeance be about Vamp.
Yeah, me too.
He's already got all those weird flippy anime moves. He's
Sure.
way more of a badass. I don't care that he's dead.
What happened to that white-haired Russian chick from Metal Gear Solid 2? She's still alive? She was kind of
No,
cool.
she died in Metal Gear Solid 2.
Oh, that's right. I didn't
Spoiler
play that.
warning for a
Wow.
10-year-old game, by the way.
I haven't played Metal Gear Solid 2 since I think 2002 or 3, and I've never played the entirety of 3 or 4. So I like have this kind of cobbled together understanding of it, but I'm getting that fucking HD collection. I'm gonna
Yeah,
play
man.
them.
It's good
I just
stuff.
got I just got Twin Snakes actually. I'm kind of thinking I might try and play through all those games because I really like them.
Yeah, it doesn't take too long.
Yeah.
They're relatively quick.
Twin Snakes for the GameCube. Just
Mm.
everyone's really people are oddly torn about that.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
well, it's the Bizarro effect again. We talked about it a few episodes ago, I think.
Mm.
Yeah. You like
but
it so
I
far?
got,
You
We
played
should-
it?
I got that right,
Yeah,
and
you
then I
like it?
realized that I popped the GameCube controller into the side of my Wii because I have a Wii,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
I popped it in, and I
Yeah.
turned it on, and it said, "Please insert a GameCube memory card," and I started
Oh yeah, that's
and
how
I
they
was
do
like,
it.
"What is this?" And I found a secret compartment on my Wii that holds GameCube memory cards, even though I have a 4 gig SD card in it. So
Yeah.
good on you, Nintendo. Good job. You made a
Yeah,
fine.
there's rumor that because that's all kind of emulation. That's not running the Wii OS when you play GameCube games, and that's what they'll have to do if the Wii U is going to run Wii games. They're going to have to emulate them basically, and whether they'll emulate them and upscale them the way the Dolphin does or not remains to be seen. A little bit of news for you there about the Wii U. Yep.
God, Nintendo should hire some people who know about making, electronics.
Yeah, writing some code. Yeah, they should. There's rumor they're talking to Valve about trying to team up for their online service and just have it be Steam. We'll see about that.
Yep.
Wow.
I'm going to have to get on to the questions.
Oh,
Because
well, I did. Someone did request that and I didn't prepare for this, but I just saw Twitter about it. Someone wanted me to recap the VGAs as the unintentionally sarcastic sounding old man. Is that okay? Is that a
Do
good
it.
idea?
Do it. Do it.
Good idea?
Do it.
All right. I don't know. I was trying to do the voice the other day. I couldn't do it, so forgive me if I fail. What is it like? Is it like that? Does that sound right?
Yeah.
All right. So, okay. Oh, the VGAs were really important. The lady ate the cupcakes and hit the fruit with the sword. It was really entertaining. It was really entertaining.
What has he become now?
It's really hurting.
He's become
Does it
latter.
sound wrong? Am I doing it wrong? I can't
He's
remember.
latter day Ned Flanders now. He's
What am I
just
doing?
become this extreme self-parody.
Yeah? I don't know
Yeah.
what I'm doing. I gotta do it right. Teach me how to do it later. Come on, do it.
No.
Teach me.
No.
Please.
I need to do these questions.
Uh,
I'm gonna have to
Let's
only
do-
pick a
let's-
few because
Let's
it's
do the questions so we can. I'm gonna go do my laundry.
seriously we're running late and I need to go. Sorry, I won't be able to do many of these. Handhelds Forever asked, "Does Sony have what? It might be a question about DuckTales. You don't know." He says, "Does Sony have a point in stating that the PS Vita supersedes mobile gaming, or do they have a bigger future in their mobile phone and tablet market?"
what?
I mean,
Wait, what?
basically saying, are Sony right to brag about the PS Vita, being better than mobile gaming and being
Oh, like phone gaming or what?
yeah,
what do
yeah,
they mean
yeah,
by
yeah,
mobile? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah,
All right.
iPhone and
I played the shit out of that last night. I was at a Vita event. Probably should have talked about that sooner, huh?
Yeah, that's all right. How
Oh, well.
was it? What games you play on there?
I'm madly in love with this little thing. It's really
cool.
really cool. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it. I think it weighs less than any Nintendo handhelds I've used in a while.
Mhm.
It's it's big. It's too big to be really a pocket device, but I played Escape Plan, I played the new Dynasty Warriors, I played Uncharted, I played Motorstorm RC, I played Katamari. Um, it's
Sounds
really
fun.
nice, and the thing I realized about it is that I have a phone. I have a phone that could be used for some mobile gaming, some, not all, because it's shitty, but I also use that for work, and my mom calls me on it, and my girlfriend texts me, and I get emails, and I get Facebook notifications, and all this crap. I kind of want a machine that isn't that. So if I'm not using my phone, I can just put my phone in the corner of the room and then go to the other side of the room and play video games because those are fun.
and that's the thing. Mobile gaming and dedicated handheld gaming like the 3DS and the Vita, they're different things. There's no reason. I'm really sick of companies like the mobile and social game companies that say, "Oh, the Vita's going to die," or "dedicated console gaming is dead." No, it's not. And why are you wishing for it? People are so willing and wishing for everything to die, and I don't get why. It's like they both exist right now. One doesn't have to kill the other. I
Right.
love Infinity Blade. I love playing on my iPod. I love having an Android kicking about. But I also like playing games on the 3DS, and I'm really looking forward to the PS Vita. I like different things at different times. We don't have to have one thing. So Sony doesn't have a point in saying the PS Vita supersedes mobile gaming, not because the PS Vita is a bad thing. I think it's going to be great. I hope it's going to be great.
I really hope it does
But
well.
they don't have a point because it's not a competition. I think there are lessons to be learned. I think I think PS Vita Sony and Nintendo should look at iTunes and the Android marketplace and say, okay, what are these guys doing right, and how can we learn from that? I think it would be in their best interest to have something that can offer these small disposable games for $1 a piece, rather than have Tetris on the PS Minis channel for $10 compared to the exact same game for $5 on iTunes. Like, that's retarded. They can certainly learn some lessons, but at the same time, they are different products. And I'm looking forward to having both those products in my house. So,
Sure. You can have handheld, and you can have home console, and you can have mobile phone games. They're all different and mutually able to coexist.
In 3 months, I dream of recording this very podcast from PlayStation Vita on Skype.
Oh yeah, you can Skype around on that, right? Skype around on that,
which is totally retarded because it's like, I have a laptop and I have a phone, and I just said that I want to play a Vita because it's just games, and then I'm like, I want to do my podcast on it.
That's kind of cool though.
It's a weird size thing. It's the size of fanny packs. So maybe I'll get one of those too, and not really leave the house, but because I don't want it to get stolen. But I'll just, I'll carry the Vita around my house in my fanny pack, in my apartment. But I won't go outside with it because the battery life isn't that long, and it's an expensive thing. So I'll,
Yeah, it seems to me to be a handheld that's not necessarily a portable, which is how I feel about the 3DS too. I cannot wait
to try out the, the transferring thing. I can't wait to just be playing a video game and then just get up to go take a shit and just take the game with me into the bathroom.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be huge.
I'm not that excited about transferring because I don't believe it's going to work that well because it's a Sony thing. I just imagine it taking 10 fucking minutes of hoop jumping to get the game from the PS3 to the Vita. So I find it hard to be excited about it just because I don't think it's going to be quite that useful. But I mean, it's a great concept. If it works, fantastic. Like if I can literally pause the game, bring it up on a Vita straight away, and then play it while having a shit, then yes, I'm all about it. But something tells me it's not going to be that fluid because Sony doesn't do fluid.
So it's agreed that we want to play this video game while we're shitting.
So I mean, that's the thing. That's the important thing. So far, the only way I can do it is with a series of intricately placed mirrors. Whenever I want to play a game and shit at the same time, which is every boy's fantasy. But transferring would make that easier. They should actually call it just game shit.
They should. It's very true.
You want to do it with the Wii U, though, too, Max? Because you said before, I don't want to do that with the Wii U, but you're like, I want to do it with the PlayStation Vita.
Yeah, but
well, that's the difference.
Poo from your poo hands, which you will definitely get. Not so off on the Vita, whereas on the Wii U, it's white. And then you will see your poo, and people will go, oh my god, I can see and obviously now smell your poo.
So if they make a poo brown Wii U
if they do a poo brown and it's called poo brown, brackets for use on the toilet, even more brackets when shitting, and a picture of Reggie Fils-Aimé with his thumbs up and his tongue sticking out.
The fucking Wii U, I don't...
Yeah, you hate it so much. It's the exact same thing as the transferring you just said, but you're like,
I think that's the difference is that Sony has enough shit that not the poopy, but this stuff, but
the stuff, not poopy.
I mean, you've got the PS3 with its library of PS3 games, and you've got the PSP games you're allegedly going to be able to transfer, and then there's the PS2 games, and then the PS1 hits and all that shit that are like, there's so much shit you can put on there, and that's in addition to UMD games and downloadable games, and the fact that it's like a new thing that's a handheld thing that it's like, yeah, you can hook it up to that thing you already have. That's exciting. Whereas being like, yeah, it's a new thing that you put in your living room and you can stay in your... The fact that it's an option to take the Vita with me wherever I go, or it's an option to use it at home versus the Vita or the Wii U, which is...
You hate it. You say Wii U. It's so fun for me because whenever you say Wii U, it's like the Wii U. Like you feel like you just got stabbed.
Wii
U. Well, see, I was bummed at E3 because I didn't get to see one because they shut down those lines so quick, and then
that was annoying. Yeah.
And then I found out that wasn't even their final version. So what the fuck do I care? Like, what if
I'll be interested to hear what you think.
Anything?
That's
what have they shown us? They showed us the bird. I
played
was
it.
playing with a fucking PlayStation Vita last night. I'm basically like sold on it. Like there's a thing that I've played. I like it. The
Right.
fucking Wii U is a thing that it's like a magical hypey fluffy machine, and
Yeah.
you know,
What if the Wii U was called Poop from My Butt?
it would probably be a better name than
And
Wii U.
Reggie Fils-Aimé is bent over and he's looking over his shoulders with his thumbs up and his tongue sticking out. And then there's a speech bubble. There's a speech bubble coming out of the hole, even though it's supposed to be him talking, and it says in the speech bubble, "It's like it's poop from my butt."
I'd be so stoked if Nintendo's products looked like Japanese candies.
Oh,
Like
wow,
if they
that's a
were
great idea.
packaged like just insane colorful shit all over them, and like pictures of like talking pink turds, and like, you know, a strap-on goose dildo that's inflatable, and it's just like all this instructions, you don't know what it is, and there's like a schoolgirl, and there's like a fart coming out of her ass, and it's got a face on it, but it's an old man's face, and it's saying something to her, but you don't know what it says. Like, give me a
That's
fucking
awesome, man.
console that looks like that, and I'll put it in my house. I don't know.
That's what the new
I-
Rhythm Heaven's kind of
I don't-
like. If you want a game like that,
I
play a game
actually
like
want
that
that
if you want.
game. I watched some stuff on there, and I was like, I hate rhythm games. I have no rhythm, but I want to watch someone else play this game in my house. I'll have my dancing
only
girls play it
$30.
for me.
they just announced it. It's cheap, $30. Buy it.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got through one question.
Well, yeah, well done us. Pontang asked why, whenever Jonathan Holmes asks an interesting question, I say what and then change the subject. It's called a joke. In that it's a running joke that, like, every time you try and ask a question, I'm going, what? Like, I'm confused because you're always asking a video game related question, and that doesn't happen on Podtoid. It's called a joke, and I don't really change the subject because we always get round to whatever he's actually trying to ask. In the end.
I was still totally listened to and
Always
well
come
loved
around.
on Podtoids.
But I mean, we do listen to you. We rely on you to help us with our sex offences questions. If we didn't listen to you, we wouldn't know.
On the video
Yeah.
podcast. Yes.
I love it when trolls ask questions in here, like just attacking me, phrased as a question, as if they're going to trick me into asking it. It's like, I mean, you know, if you listen to the show, even though you clearly don't like me, you're spending 2 hours listening to me anyway, so you're an idiot. But I'm not going to fall for that because I'm not as stupid as you. So, nice try, son. That's not happening.
Yeah, that was the good stuff. That was you talking that straight talk.
I am
You know that song by Dolly Parton?
What?
You know that song by Dolly
What?
Parton, Straight Talk? You should look that up.
I'm changing the subject. Seamus McGreedy says Spyro or Crash Bandicoot.
Oh, fuck.
That's a good one.
Crash Bandicoot.
Crash Bandicoot.
I like
Bandicoot.
Spyro. Don't get me wrong. I like Spyro just fine, but Crash Bandicoot has more character and more breadth of capacity to entertain. Where Spyro, other than Skylanders, a little bit of a one-note tune there.
I think that Crash Bandicoot is more of a zeitgeist. Am I using that word right? I've never actually known if I'm using that word right. I have no idea
what you mean. What did you mean by that?
You know, like a sign of the times. Like Crash Bandicoot is so
I
like
think that's
1997. Right. I mean, he was literally the PlayStation's mascot. Spyro is kind of like, he has all of the flaws of being a mid-90s PlayStation mascot without all of the perks of, it's like, wow, you actually are dressed like the lead singer for The Offspring.
It actually had a nice little soundtrack, though, a very unique soundtrack, like that kind of weird country folksy type laid back stuff. I liked Spyro, but Crash Bandicoot gave us Crash Team Racing, so you know, I'm going to have to go with Crash Bandicoot.
His recent games are painfully average, but not terrible. You can play them if you want. They're cheap. They're like $10. That reminds me of one other thing I was going to say. I kind of hate it when they use rock and roll soundtracks in games because I wanted some original music. I like original music. I expect more for my money. When I buy a game, I want to get stuff I've never seen before, stuff I've never played before, and stuff I've never heard before sometimes.
Word.
Thanks.
I hated Bastion. I didn't hate it. I didn't like Bastion.
I haven't yet to get
fucking
into it.
love the soundtrack, though. I kind of want the soundtrack just because it's really good.
Right.
So.
And if they had just used the Offspring for Bastion, you would never get to say that. You'd just be like, oh, I heard some Offspring songs I heard already. That's how I felt with Crazy Taxi.
Yeah. That'd be Crazy Bastion. You gotta eat up as many slugs as you can in 10 minutes before you pick up a different weapon or something.
That's right. Crazy Bastion. That's a brilliant idea. I hope that the creators of that game are listening and they follow you up on that.
Yeah, they must love me.
Well, why wouldn't they? You just said you hated
Someone
their
was
game.
like, nah, it's an ugly game. Ah.
I don't want to play it. I tried. I was like, oh.
Okay, this might be horribly offensive. Actually, this is horrible. I'm not gonna. Should I say it?
Yeah.
I just
Did you masturbate to Bastion?
No.
All right, fine. Then you're fine.
Is it pedophilia if you masturbate to Bastion?
It probably is. Probably is. That's a very childlike main character. Very childlike looking.
I was going to say the girl that body is like, she's really, really cute. And the art is, I really don't like the art, but she's really good looking. So it's like, I just feel, I don't know. If I ever met her, I'd be like just stammering all over the place and scared.
The person who did the art or the character they drew? What?
No, the person who did the art, their artist.
Oh yeah, she's cute, isn't she?
Yeah.
There's a lot of cute artists who make video games.
Yeah.
It's
like Miyamoto.
He's very cute. Yeah, he's not sexy cute, but he's charming.
I'd love to suck his dick.
I hope he's listening. What would he?
He definitely is. He definitely is. I think he wouldn't say anything. He'd just have that face he had on the VGAs all night long while looking at it and thinking, "What the fuck is this shit?" It's like, seriously, we make fun of Japanese television. Mm-hmm. Just imagine everything you saw at the VGAs, the cake eating and the tea bagging, but they're speaking in a different language that you don't understand.
That was something really interesting. I was following Kojima on Twitter, and he kept putting up all these pictures from his time in LA, and they're just like weird. It's like seagull, and it's a picture of a seagull, or like just a sign or something, and it's stuff that he thinks is interesting, and I'm like, this is like touristy photos. This is like the shit that people would put on Facebook if they went to Japan and like took pictures.
Right. Exactly, yeah.
And it's really cool because it's like shit that you see it. I live in California. Like I see this shit all the time. Like whatever, But it's like, he's traveled like several thousand miles to come to LA, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna take some pictures of that seagull. I thought that was awesome.
I mean, I actually freaked out like I'd met a celebrity when I saw my first yellow school bus. Is that
really?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if that's pedophilia or not, but it's the same with like American fire hydrants and American post boxes and American stop signs. Just things that now, like, they're so normal to me now that I've been here a few years. But when I first moved, it was like seeing celebrities, because you see them in movies and you don't see them in Britain. You see a different type of bus, a different type of mailbox. So
I guess I was pretty excited when I first saw a double-decker bus, the red ones. Pretty exciting in England.
William Gibson talks about that in one of his books. He talks about how England is like mirror world, and there's just it's more or less the same, but there's a whole bunch of little tiny differences.
Yeah, it's almost uncanny valley kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So recognizable yet weirdly alien. Anyway, I think that's enough for a show.
Okay.
They've had a good like
one
near
more
2
question?
hours.
We can do one more.
No, they're all too lengthy, and I'm sorry if we didn't get to them, but I am running pretty damn late. Do ask them again next week if you want. Yeah, except for the troll ones that are just trying to get there. That hate me yet are weirdly starstruck enough to want to hear their names coming out of my mouth. That's what it is, you weirdos.
Is that pedophilia?
It must be.
It depends on what they like.
My voice, I do have the voice of a young girl, so
yeah, that might be.
It is pedophilia. They want me to be all like, ooh, I want to sex your balls, sir.
I gotta go.
Okay.
What? You're suddenly bailing out? Well, just let us close the show. Don't leave before we close the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to Podtoid. I'm your host. We didn't even mention that Tara's not here.
Yeah, I know.
I literally did not touch on it. I was waiting for her to show up, and then I read that email.
I hope people... The reason I didn't even mention it was because it was so last minute. It was... Because Tara bailed literally at the last second. She got...
I was hoping people were thinking she was just not...
That's what I was like.
Yeah.
Have we really just
hey guys.
Yeah, like we've taken the ultimate step and just she's there, but now she's just got to listen. But no, obviously Tara is a very respected and valued member of this cast, and I like it when she joins in and talks because it's funny. But she wasn't here, so she couldn't. She was very hammered with work, so couldn't.
Yeah, and beer, hammered with beer and work.
Doesn't sound bad. Yeah,
But
that's how our work is. It's
she's an
possible.
alcoholic. She's known for
Very
it.
funny.
No, thank you to those that were here: Jonathan Holmes, Max Scoville, and me. Why not? You can catch Max and our usual co-host Tara on the Destructoid Show every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You can catch Jonathan Holmes on Destructoid.com. He's got things happening, talking to women about video games, still doing his musical project. Check that out. You can see, my shit wherever. I don't care.
And Max did talking to video games about women, which is really good.
I did.
Go back and watch that.
That's on YouTube. It's the same place we put all our videos.
Yeah, it's Dtoid, like the YouTube account, just DTOID. You see all videos.
That was some really positive response you got from that, Max. People wanted more immediately, so I hope you do some more of those. Well, it was really funny and smart. It was what people like, so great job.
Oh, shut up.
It's true, man. I was really impressed with that. I was really happy about it.
It's a great concept, and it actually works as its own concept,
exactly.
as much as a spoof. But yeah, check that out. Check out the Jimquisition on escapismagazine.com. That's a show I do on Mondays. Why not? That sounded really contemptuous. Why not? Fuck you. Subscribe to this show, please. Write nice reviews on iTunes. We have an Android app on Amazon.com, Podtoid Android app, $2 for this content that you get for free anyway. But it helps us out if you think the show's worth anything, or you value Jonathan Holmes' advice about sensitive sexual issues. And that's it, really. We will see you next week. Thank you, and bye.
Bye, ladies.
Yeah. I'm sad I'm doing the voice wrong now, the old man voice.
Yes, because
I want to do it right again for your entertainment.
Podtoid.
I want to do it good for you, Jim.